Can you hear me? I think my mic is better now. So this session is on the transition. Yeah, we're talking about the transitions that happen and significant life events in everyone's life. Um, so what happens during them? So there are different stages of life. We have infancy, we have childhood, we have adolescence, we have early, middle, and late adulthood. So there are different processes that happen during these years. So, for instance, in infancy, you have separation, you have when a child is separated from their parent and for the first time, and they go through the process of like this, they join this a place where they've never been to before and it's new to them, and because of this there's a lot of anxiety that they face. And then there's the different phases that the child goes through, and then there's weaning, there's toilet training. Through childhood they have their own different stages. Adolescence, then comes the middle and late early, middle, and late adulthood. Then there's impact of these transitions. Okay, and these impacts may be for a short term, meaning few weeks or few months, or they may be long term for years and years. There may be emotions that are attached to these transitions. There are emotions, definitely. There are relationships that people have, and they go through different experiences with those relationships. They have financial ups and downs in their lifetime. There's independence at some point, and there's dependence at some other point. There's health and well being, self esteem, resilience. So, in the health and social care practitioner, when we're concerned with them, they're there for supporting individuals during these transitions, and they take action, they promote health and well-being, they meet individual needs, and they meet the needs of family carers and friends. And there's impact of person-centered. So when you go for person-centered approach, it is very focused. Okay, so whatever you are doing, it's more focused on that person. We'll talk about how you go about with this. So this is a bit about what we're going to cover today. What key terminologies are we going to cover? So, what are life transitions? So, life transitions or life stage transitions, they may include things like moving school, starting or finishing university, starting a new job, adjusting to chronic illnesses, moving away from friends or family. They can have serious impacts on health, on the general health and well-being of an individual. Adjusting to change is very, very important, and something that many young people may struggle with. Life changes that are not in the person's control, like they're being forced to change schools, or to relocate, or to change countries, to change a house, to leave friends away, to make new friends. They can be daunting at times, and sometimes it's difficult to adjust to. So, across the life stages, we identify transitions and significant life events. So transition is a period, like trance is something in between. So it's from one significant stage or experience to another. Just like death, we say that death is a trance from this life to another life. So it's a change from one stage to another stage. So as children age and they develop, they they have different experiences. Okay, so many of these transitions or significant life events, they're common to most children. So most of the children will feel anxious, most of the children will feel sad to leave their homes and their loved ones when they go to school for the first time. They may feel anxious when they started weaning, they're starting eating stuff that they were not used to eating, or drinking stuff because they were only used to consuming mother's milk. So, in all instances, young children will need varying help to cope with these changes in their lives. We're starting from the very small stages of life. It is vital to remember that transition is a process, not a one off event. There will be significant other events as well. If there's careful planning in advance, it should take place. This is to anticipate and meet the needs of of the child and their family as they enter into this unfamiliar phase. So let's say starting with early intervention when the child is 0 to 6 years old. Then there's childcare services that come into action, plan for education pathway, and then there's education after 7 to 18 years of age. Then there's student care services during this. Leading to that, 18 to 60 years of age, there's more preparation for work, long-term care planning, and then there's further education, there's adult care services later on for adults. So these are significant life transitions and there's support during these life transitions. So what types of transitions or life events might a child experience? They're different. They're like they have an emotional impact, they have a physical, intellectual, or physiological. So physiological is more physical and to do with the body, how does the body react to certain transitions. So for instance, they start from crawling to walking, or they start from neck holding to sitting up in an upright position to walking independently or crawling independently. That is a big transition. Moving from one class to another is a big transition. They feel they've left their old friends and that the teacher, there's that surrounding that they've been so used to and very comfortable with for one whole year, and now they're moving to another class. And then there's adoption as well, where a child is adopted by a family that they're not known for ever, and then they've to live with them for the rest of their lives. That's a significant transition. Some people or some children might have it might impact them significantly. Like this adoption process is significant, okay, in anyone's life. However, if you prepare in advance for it, and you make it easy for the child, it becomes easier. The further steps become easier for the child as well. uh, then there's the impact of these transitions and significant life events on the individual, such as individuals who portray when someone is dead, they have bereavement. Um, and if there's any misfortune that a person is faced with, they mourn and they change in moods. There's more anxiety because of this. Um, and divorce, for instance, a new marriage, losing a job, or losing a house, for instance, losing a loved one. These all are significant life events. And even if we don't want for them to have an impact on us, they do have a significant impact on us. How do we transition through that phase, or how do we get out of um, that misery? That is up to us, okay? And that is why we prepare ourselves for all of these feelings that you may feel. So there's emotional impact, there's psychological impact, there's depression, there's grief, there's stress, but then there's sleepless nights. Few people may feel tense, there's lack of energy, restlessness, or sluggishness in their daily activities. There's a physical impact, which we said, there's muscle pain, there may be throbbing pain, there may be stretched muscles or tense muscles, because of the anxiety that they face because of these changing situations. Medical treatment can help them recover through these feelings of physical impacts that they may have because of any such event happening that we've mentioned earlier. Bereavement, for instance, may have an emotional impact. So it's so you go through the process and everyone is bereaved, and they have this numb feeling and they mourn. For instance, John, we've given the example of John. um, and they lose interest in a lot of things. They become ill because of this. And then they go very low on in their physical and emotional and psychological, all types of health. And they become numb means they vanish, the cherished behavior for some time and do not show the emotions of weeping. So they just turn into numbness and they don't feel pain, they don't feel sorrow, they don't feel happiness. Okay. One cannot hide their emotions in front of others and they can be sobbing. Otherwise, they can be numb as well. Social impact can also be there. So there will be less changes socially. those may come in life of a bereavement, but it is important to recollect all the above changes and try to improve them with the proper support, so that it will not leave any harsh impact on the social circle of an individual. So social, we mean it may also mean that they get disconnected with their family, their loved ones. They, if they're numb, they don't want to. They have they have different sentiments. They may be aggressive, they may have a doubtful behavior, and this all happens not only with bereavement but other tragedies in life as well. Can anyone tell me what may be the psychological and or the physiological impacts of, let's say, bereavement or any such life event? I'm going numb now. I want you all to speak. Yeah. Any physical or physiological impact of, we've just talked about it, or intellectual impact of um, any such life event?
Um, for
Mm-hmm.
the physical,
Mm-hmm.
I can speak from my experience because I was bereaved last year. There can be extreme loss of weight.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and then you are not able to function properly, psychologically and everything. You're at a loss in so many ways. So
Yeah. Yes.
Well,
You
I
may
can
lose.
speak for myself at the minute
Yeah.
because I just lost my mom last month.
I'm so sorry for all those.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
all right. And it's been a bit of lack of concentration because sometimes I just drift. Like I can't really like articulate some things sometimes
Mm-hmm.
because I'm overwhelmed with the thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And also I had to take some time off work because it was actually telling on my performance at work as well. So I
Mm-hmm.
just had to like reflect and regroup, then get back
Mm-hmm.
to work. So it really affected me physically and emotionally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So these things do impact you. I'm really sorry to hear your losses, and
Oh, thank you.
they're really uh, you need it's a lot of courage that goes into it to get out of it and to be able to speak about it, and to recall all those memories, um and then bereavement. um you might lose a friend, you might lose any loved one, or you might lose a job, let's say. These all things, they are traumatic, but let's say I lost, um or I'll give you an example of a boy I had read about. He was just in his 20s, early 20s, and he was very enthusiastic. And from an early age, he collected a lot of, this is about UK, someplace in United Kingdom. He was very energetic. He loved life, and he had his girlfriend, and um, he was everything that you could say about being lively. And suddenly, he got into this business thought where he wanted to make more money out of what he had, because he wanted to help his father buy a tractor and start working with him and in his business. So his father was a farmer and they were doing really well. So what happened that he lost around 10,000 pounds because of a scam, and he thought he was investing somewhere, and that money went away, and that guy actually took his life. So he committed suicide. He died because of it, and his mother still mourns his loss. So there's some people for who this losing money or feeling helpless, it can have different impacts on you. So if you see physically, that guy before he died, it was written there in that report, he enjoyed a football match with his mom, and he actually, when his girlfriend's team, they were winning, he actually carried his mom in joy and danced with him. He was so happy the night before he committed that he acted that way. And he did not lose his mom, he did not lose his dad, he just he lost money. For us, okay, we would say that So what? He's got his whole family there. He's got so much love around. But it's when you're not prepared, when you're not resilient enough. So we're never resilient. We never have the power to. We don't know what's going to impact us and in what way is it going to impact us. But if we just keep that reflection, like Elizabeth said, if we start reflecting, so when you're going and practicing this, after this course is over, you're going to practice person-centered care. Always remember, ask the patient or ask the service user to reflect and to think about what are their strengths, what are they losing, but what have they got to live for. So these are some things that are very hard and for a lot of people to understand. It doesn't make sense to them. If they've lost money, it's everything in their life that they've worked for. That child worked a lot, actually from a very young age. That was his life objective. So if that loses for someone, that is a significant loss. And there's all reason why, there's no reason why he should not be committing a suicide. But for some, if we are judgmental, we would say, oh, so no, that's he's not lost a loved one. So we can never judge when we are in practice. Also, when we are treating patients, we cannot have that judgment in between. So yeah, um, so that's how transitions impact people. And then there's loss of weight or there's gain of weight, that it depends upon how it impacts you. Now we're going on to explain the role of the health and social care practitioner. What is your role, okay, in supporting individuals during this transition? You support the individual and their learning disabilities. They're struggling. You have a look at the policies and the procedures, and you give them guidance based on these policies and procedures. And this is evidence that you have for their decision making. Okay, you support them in their decisions. um, so procedures can help you as a practitioner. You can identify the cause of disabilities, what action should be taken, and it shows emergency procedures. If a practitioner is working as police and procedures, they can increase the number of accident, and it can increase complaints. And their policies and procedures that enable the workforce to clearly understand individual and practitioner responsibilities. So always have a look at what policies and procedures are there. You would always want to know that. Okay, you need to follow those policies and procedures, because only according to them you will be able to support the person in their best interest. So your role is as a health and social care worker is very significant. So you're providing care for the family members is a when there's certain need arises. You're caring for individuals who face trouble of conflict in various relationships. You could be involved in with people facing challenges of old age, or individuals with mental health problems. And you could have you could deal with people addicted to certain drugs, physically disabled people having independence issues and facing isolation from the society, people with financial issues who are struggling to get by. So social workers have the right to intervene in the family or private life if any of this happens. So individuals need to be protected for themselves, and prevention of harm to them, it's needed because of their actions or anyone else's actions. Promoting human development and security, so that's where you intervene even if you don't have the authority. You encourage social inclusion and healthy participation during the lifetime of that individual. Then there's people with learning disabilities. So children with emotional shortcomings, you support them. Children with special needs, adults needing establishing their independence and dignity. Again, old age and women. So men and women, sorry. So you intervene there uh, if they need the support. Learning disabilities. So if we don't follow policies and procedures, it can cause a lot of barriers to the individuals, such as not being able to provide wheelchair for the people who can't walk. Policies and procedures train to staff and individuals who recently developed learning disabilities, and it provides better opportunities for people uh, with learning disabilities. And this helps them in supporting their life choices and decisions. For instance, if there's a practitioner, they can provide a person who can hear through a hearing aid or using a sign language that can be translated for them. Working within policies and procedures, this can prevent discrimination and take away a stigma, and give equal opportunities. The Equality Act 2010, just read about it, where there's giving individual equal treatment for individuals who have learning disabilities. Just have a look at that. There will be a care plan that you need to put in place for every individual, especially those who need you the most, and that needs to be recorded. People who have learning disabilities, they may have problems that you need to help them overcome. So this care plan will ensure that people get the same care, and care plan also is there to ensure that the care given is recorded, and it supports the patients and to meet the individual needs, so that they can achieve their outcome of care. It is important that you have a practitioner involved, and for instance, ask these people what they like to do when they are free, or their likes and dislikes. Talk to them about it. Make their care plan more inclusive so they're a part of their care plan. So having a care plan will help you, it will support you. So for instance, if there's a person who loves to go they love a particular sport, they're very much interested in it. So if you are there, if you're supportive of of their care plan, you would want to include that. And if they want a medication, and for instance, if there's a medication that you can give to them, um, that is easy for them to swallow, that's okay. As long as if it does not interfere with their daily life activities, or if they've if they're okay with it, and if that does not harm that in them in any way, so it is okay. You should always be supportive in that, and that becomes your mandate to make it easy for them, make their different processes of life that they go through, make it easy for them. It is very, very important to keep this in consideration, and they should be safe and stay away from danger, and to have communication throughout if they have disabilities and they need support at any time. So, and then there's person-centered care, where you're focusing on the person themselves, and you're trying your best that whatever you are doing, it is all person-centered, so that nothing that you're doing is centered around yourselves. So obviously you will have difficulties in this, but this is how what makes you the best practitioner. So you should be able to protect the individuals from any mistreatment or abuse, neglect or harm, and the healthcare practitioner will work together to improve the person's health and welfare, and to make and it's very important that they should be able to understand what is in their own good, and what is it that's going to harm them. Safeguarding issues should also be of concern, because you have to deal with them. So safeguarding is everyone's responsibility, okay? We need to respect the individual and congruence. We should not be non-judgmental in safeguarding, okay? We should show empathy, and they need to speak to us. They need to trust us. Safeguarding is specifically important when you're concerned with people who will have learning disabilities, who are old aged, or who are very young. So these need to be focused more. Empowerment. So what does empowerment mean? You empower the person. For instance, if there's a person with dementia, they're refusing to take a medication, a care assistant should approach this with care and advise them to take this medication so that they can get better, to be able to that empowers them. Okay, so if they know what are the pros and cons, and they understand that this is why I'm taking this medication, and I have the power to say no, but I will not say no, because this is for my own good. So this is how you train themselves, and it helps them become more confident, and it increases their esteem. Advocacy is very important. So it empowers people to ensure that their views and opinions are heard, and whatever decisions they make, they tend to support them and put forward people with learning disabilities, because this is because healthcare services making sure that every individual has the right, even if the person has disabilities. It helps individuals to speak out about things that negatively impact them. So they when, for instance, a person who is deaf and blind, they can ask to for an advocate to guide them and be led by the person only doing what they request. It can also be friendly while still maintaining boundaries, and the advocate must listen to the person's wishes. The different types of advocacy, such as peer advocacy, informal advocacy, formal advocacy, professional independent advocacy. So this makes sure that everyone has the same life opportunities as others. For instance, some people with learning disabilities don't get to the opportunity to go to school due to their desirable of their own desire. Then there's the Children's Act 2014 that says each child should be treated with respect, and they should have the same equal opportunity. So all of these acts, they need to be adhered to. You need to understand them, learn them, and then work according to them. And each with learning disability, people, especially with people with when you're dealing with people who have learning disabilities, and listen to their problems, and you should have an understanding with the person. This will lead to building trust, increasing their self esteem and confidence. Partnership working is very important. Okay, so whenever you work, you always work in partnership. So when you're working, you have the service users who are your partners, you have the parents who are the partners, or the family members who are their partners. The people who have different learning disabilities, they may have mental health conditions, so you're not working in isolation. You have different people on your team from the health perspective, but you have the family to support those individuals as well. So as you're going ahead with that support, you're also making sure that there are positive partnerships there, and you're making a difference by through these positive partnerships throughout that care plan. Now we are analyzing the impact of person-centered approaches on the support provided by practitioners to individuals experiencing transition and significant life events. So what do you do when you're working as person-centered approach? Uh, as a practitioner, you prepare individuals for transition or the event. So if there's a person who is dying, you prepare their families for that transition earlier before that happens. You don't know that when they die, it may happen that they might not die, they may live a longer life than you're expecting. However, you're always expecting that this may happen, and you're making sure that the others are ready for the transition. If you're not doing that, then you are making things more complex for yourself and for themselves as well. um, Supporting the needs of individuals during transitions and events. People may need mental health support. They may require uh, other types of support. So financial support, for instance, you're trying to ask them for you're trying to direct them to different support groups there. You're assessing their needs, your action planning and goal setting with them as partners. You're planning and you're giving them choices and independence as well. The last slide here is for you to read the article on person-centered approach, health from Health Foundation. And this is a case study of person-centered approach in transitioning and planning. Um, have a look at these references as well. They'll help you in your um, further studying. This is the other sources that we have. Does anyone have any questions? I'll quickly take your attendance. Anyone's got any question for me for this session?
No questions from my side.
Okay. Okay. I'll stop recording this session